It's almost April, which means it is time for another rough draft challenge. And I am going a little bit crazy this time. I'm setting, I think, the highest goal I have ever set for a rough draft challenge. And I'm nervous, but I'm also so here for it. So if you want to join us to either write or work on any of your creative projects or a project you've been putting out for a while, this is your time. I am going to talk all about the challenge, how to join, what my goals are, and how I'm getting prepped today. So let's get started. There are 30 days in April, and as you can see in my Kanban boards, which is how I measure the projects that I'm working on, I had this entire project in Q1 that I was hoping to get done before the end of March. And it's labeled ATOT, which means A Throne of Thorns. It's book 2 of my Shadow Demon saga. Book 1 is coming out March 27th, so we have about a week until release, and I just did not get to this in order to get it done. So I am determined that this entire row is going to get finished in April. Can I do it? I don't know, but it'll be fun to try. Essentially, the Rough Draft Challenge is an opportunity to come together as a group and go for a goal that feels good to you. It's also super flexible. This is not about like do it or die, like you have to get it, but you can use it that way if you want to. It's basically the most flexible that it can possibly be. So we do have tiers based on word counts, 10K, 25K, 50K, 75K, or 100,000 words if you want to go by word count. But you don't have to. If word count is demotivating for you or you don't like to track your progress in word count, then you have the diamond tier. And the diamond tier is really where you can set any goal you want. So you could base it on minutes that you wanted to work. You could base it on how many days out of the 30 days you want to work, chapters, really anything you want. Or even if you're not a writer, you could focus on a puzzle, a blog post, social media posts, working on your dissertation, a certification. How many books do you want to read this month? You could even use it to clean your living room. So there is also a free planner that goes with this challenge, as well as a free website. So I will have all that linked down below, but we're going to walk through the planner just a little bit. We have done this challenge several times before, so I go in a little bit more detail as to what the challenge is in some of my previous videos. So I will also link those down below, but basically it's just an opportunity to get motivated and to take a little look at the rest of your life and say, you know what, I'm going to let a few things slide this month so that I can really focus in on my writing. And, this A Throne of Thorns did not get done in April or in Q1 for me because I was so busy with other things. But I see this really beautiful window over the next couple of months where I can go all in on my writing and my backlist. And I'm just getting so excited about really being a full-time author again for a little while. And it just, it's making my heart very happy. So jump in on this good energy and come work with us on your writing or your creative projects. What I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to show you the planner, which I spent some time setting up this morning. My daughter Evie helped me with it a little bit because she is home from spring break or on spring break some this week. And now she's in my closet pretending it's a little house. And she's having some fun. We're getting excited. Say hi.
Hi.
So we are going to set this up and set up our goal for the month of April. And, I really try to just say, I'm going to do the best I can, but I'm not going to be mad at myself if I can't get it done. But sometimes having a big, audacious goal can just be really, really fun if you take the pressure off. But also we've got smaller goals or we've got custom goals so that you can really make it what you want it to be. But I've also got some fun rewards. This is going to be a good month. So I really hope you'll join us. Hello, hello. So I spent a little bit of time this morning hanging out with Evie here in the room, and we printed out the April Rough Draft Challenge planner. Like I said, you can do this challenge any month, but as a group, we're doing it April, July, and November this year in 2026. But the roughdraftchallenge.com website you can use all year round. You can't at this point delete things, and you can only have one project per month, but my husband George made it for us. It's free. And if you have requests of things that we can change in the future, maybe we can do that, but we want to try to keep it free. And so right now it is pretty minimal and pretty simple, but it is functional. And I think it's a great site. So feel free to sign up there and use it. We have the undated planner that you can use anytime. And then we have the April planner. This is for people who are on my newsletter list. So if you haven't joined, I'll have a link for you down below where you can sign up and you'll get access to this, as well as dozens of resources like how to plot your novel, edit your novel, world building, series creation, how to write with scenes, tons of free resources that I've created over the years. And this planner is basically the same that it has been for Preptober and things like that last year, just the dates have changed and a few of the quotes. So I put this quote, "Oh, hey, you are my favorite author." Print this out, put it up on your computer because you are somebody's favorite author. If you're not there yet, you will be there someday. Then this first page just kind of explains those different tiers. So Emerald tier is if you're headed for 10,000 words, Sapphire for 25K, Ruby for 50, Citrine is 75,000 words, Amethyst is 100K, and that Diamond challenge is truly create your own. And there's a little bit more about that here, as well as the link inside the PDF to the roughdraftchallenge.com, the Google Calendar, where we have tons of sprints. Like every day, we've got live streams where we've got hosts here all over YouTube. And we've just brought in six, I think, new hosts, and we'll be onboarding more people throughout the year. So lots of opportunities to get in there and have that sort of body doubling and accountability. Honestly, if you ever are just like, "Oh, I don't feel like writing," you can either go on the calendar and say, somebody else is going to be writing. I'll sit down with them and write for the next 30 minutes. Or you can always watch one of the replays. It's super motivating. Link to the Facebook group and the Discord server as well. I am going to be doing the citrine challenge this time, and I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know if I can do it, but one of the good things about this challenge too is that if I make it halfway through the month and I'm only at 10,000 words, let's say, and I know there's no way that I can do citrine without just burning myself out, I am not going to give up. Instead, I'm just going to change my goal and say, well, let's head for Sapphire instead. And the key here is just not letting it get to you. But I know that for some of you, you have to set a goal and say, I can't change it no matter what. And that's fine too. It's really just about making it what works for you. For me, I like to just set new goals if I can't reach my old ones. So we're heading for 75,000. I'm going to try to draft the entire book of A Throne of Thorns. You guys have seen this before. If you haven't, if you're brand new here, welcome, welcome. Please hit that subscribe button. Come join our Heart Breathings family. I have a full walkthrough of all the things that are in this sheet in my Preptober video that I did on that. So I will link it down below so that I'm just not going over it yet again. But I have a noveling checklist, which is like, here's how you can prep your plan, like looking at when you're going to write, making a decision about your word count goals, your rewards, anything you want to do with meal planning, because sometimes it can be really, really helpful when you're trying to hit a big goal to go ahead and pre-make meals or pre-make plans, or speak to, if you are married, speak to your spouse, or if you have parents in the home with you and see if you can enlist a little bit of help. Like, hey, can you be making dinners most nights? Or here's a meal plan so that I don't have to think about it all the time. Or maybe even eating out a little bit more than normal, or like I said, frozen dinners, things like that that you can pre-make and just pop in the freezer. Prepping your tools is basically just whatever you want it to be. Like, are you going to use Vellum to write, Google Docs, anything like that? I did post a how I write in Google Docs video maybe a month ago. If you want to check that out, I will link that for you down below as well. But I am going to be taking you guys along the process next week of setting up my Google Doc for A Throne of Thorns. Then writing community, come join our Rough Draft Challenge website and things like that. And then you have your novel prep. And this is really going to depend on your own personality, right? Like, do you like to, or I guess your process, not your personality. Do you like to color code? Do you like to outline? Do you like to pants? So some of this you won't need if you're a pantser. Prepping your space, like clean your desk, make sure you have all the things that you want to use at your fingertips, like various little pieces that are going to keep you motivated throughout the month, which I'll go over in a minute. A to-do list of all the things you want to do before April hits, a shopping list of if you want to get like index cards or a certain kind of pen, any decisions that you need to make, like what am I going to name this character, or what genre am I going to write, what story am I going to write? It could be any of those decisions. But then we get into the actual April planner. So this is where you're going to see a lot of blue because my book cover for A Throne of Thorns is blue. Actually, I'll show you the cover. Isn't it so cute? I just love it. This was done by cover artist Raven. I will link her website down below. She has done the majority of my covers, and I love this one. I love the blue. So all of the covers in this series are the same except the color, which I really love that. So we're going to use blue washi tape from Simply Gilded just to give all of these pages a little bit of extra pizzazz, I guess. Oh, let's see if I can do it and keep it looking nice. Sorry if you hear some of the workers, but we had yet again some of the roof tiles came off our house with these 50-mile-an-hour winds we had in Texas over the last few days. So we've got some people that are going to be fixing the roof. So if they get loud, then we will turn this off and come back another time. But the first step that I like to do, because it's great to set a goal, right? I'm setting a goal that's really tough, and maybe you're doing the same thing. And that's fine, except that you want to make sure it is somewhat realistic. Because if it's absolutely no way you're going to write the amount of words you think, because it's just going to take you a lot more time than you thought, then you're actually just setting yourself up for heartbreak and like self judgment. And I don't like to do that. So instead, we are going to try to be as realistic as possible. And I don't think I have a ruler in here. So we're just going to use these page flags as a ruler. First thing I'm going to do is mark off any days that I've got other things going on. So, kind of like a monthly plan. I know that over the course of these days from the 15th to the 19th, I will be in Florida. So, this is the Florida Star Conference at Cocoa Beach. If you're going to be there, I would absolutely love to see you there. I think the conference technically goes from Friday evening through Sunday afternoon. I know that I have few different things going on. I have a full morning workshop, several hour workshop on Sunday, and then I have a keynote speech that I'm giving on Saturday, and Friday night is a book signing. But I'm flying out a couple of days early. So I'm going to be writing on the beach for the first couple of days, but then these 3 days are probably going to be non-writing days for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of mark out those days because I just know I'm probably not going to write. And to be honest, I'm probably not going to write on this day either because I'm going to need to be doing laundry and there's some other things going on with my family this week. I'm not going to be able to write. However, I'm hoping to write extra these couple days, but we'll see how it goes. Then I'm kind of looking at the rest of my schedule. I know that I have some things with my Follow Through Fix membership. So we have something going on this day, but I should still be able to write. And I think that's the only day. April is a rare, like, other than this travel, is a rare, like, slow month for all the other things in my business. So I'm going to be mostly focused on promoting my new release, A Mirror of Shadows, and writing this book. And we'll see how far I can get. Now, then you can also write any other things that you have going on. So I'm going to circle the 4th because this is double down day for us, which means we've got sprints going on all day that day, which gives me extra writing time. I think we start typically at like 7 a.m. Eastern and go till 11 o'clock at night Eastern. So pretty much all day. And if you've never joined a writing sprint, basically it's just live on YouTube. We have a timer running for 25 minutes where everybody's writing on their own. And then we unmute and talk and chat and encourage everybody, and then we'll right back to it. But it gives you an opportunity to sit down and have that, like, I'm not alone in this kind of feeling, which is very, very helpful. I don't honestly think I have anything else, but you might want to go in and put in vacations or days where you know you have a really big day at work. Or let's say you know you're not going to write on Saturdays because that's your family time, or Sunday because that's your church time and you don't like to write that day. Go ahead and mark off any days that you won't be writing. Also, just FYI, this is a Sunday calendar, but we do have a Monday start calendar for those of you that prefer it. I have it in both versions. Then decide if you want to put in any buffer time. So I'm only doing 4 days off. So 30 days minus 4 is 26 days. Do I want to give myself any other buffer days? This can be important for things like if you have chronic headaches or a chronic illness, or you just know there's days where, depending on what else is going on, there's always going to be days where you don't write like you thought you were going to. I'm going to give myself 2 buffer days, which probably isn't enough, but I also know I'm trying to hit 75K. So if I'm going to get it done, I have to have big days. So I'm going to give myself 2 buffer days, which is 4 days here plus 2 additional days that I don't know where they'll come into play. So that is 6 days off. So tally up your word count, subtract it from 30. So I've got 30 days in the month minus my 6 days of buffer and I'll be gone, which gives me 24 writing days. This becomes important for the next few sheets. So again, I'm not going to go over this in as much detail as I might have before, just because I've been over this before. I know that sometimes it gets repetitive for people, but I'm just going to show you how I would fill this out. But if you want a more detailed explanation, I've got a link for you down below. But I like to write in sprints, like I was saying. Some people don't do this. You just sit down and you write for as long as you can. For me, if I sit down and I say I've got 25 minutes on the clock and I turn off my phone, I don't text anybody, I don't allow any interruptions. It's kind of Pomodoro technique, right? So I don't allow any interruptions or anything like that. If I can guarantee that perfect 25 minutes, then I write more. Because if I sit down for 2 hours, but I'm also like talking to somebody, recording some content, looking on my phone, I tend to get almost nothing done. So for me, that's why sprints work. My preferred sprint length in minutes is 25 minutes. I love 25 minutes with a 5-minute break, kind of true to that Pomodoro timer. Average word count per sprint for me, I know this because I've done this so many times, is 650 words. And sometimes it's way less and sometimes it's way more. But for me, that's my average word count every 25 minutes. So here's what we have to kind of figure out. If I want to have 70,000 words, no, I'm going for 75,000. I don't know for sure if A Throne of Thorns will be 75,000 words, but I'm guessing it will be somewhere around there. So we're going for 75,000 words. If I finish the book and it's 70K, I'm counting it as a win regardless. But if I go over to 80K, then it's okay too. So 750,000 words is my total, but I have how many days? 24 days. So 75,000 words divided by 24 days means I have a daily word count target of 3,125 words that I need per day to hit my goal. So if I have 650 words on average, that means I need about 4.8 sprints, or round it up to 5 sprints a day. So this is where I start to look at, this is what I need. Is this realistic? Like if I look at my typical calendar, is it actually realistic that I can write 5 sprints a day? 5 sprints times 30 minutes each is basically 2.5 hours. Can I set aside realistically 2.5 hours every single day that I don't have marked off here? I think I can in the month of April. It's really not going to come down to time. It'll come down to energy more than anything else. But I'm excited for this book. So I'm going to say yes. We're going to hope that I can do it. If I can't, then I've got to pull it down. But 5 sprints a day. You've got a challenge math example here, but we're going to do this a little bit differently. So I'm going to fill mine out. Challenge word count goal, we already did some of this, is 75,000 divided by total writing days this month is 24, which we already saw gave us 3,125. If my goal for the month was 25,000 and I had 24 days, then I would need 1,042 words per day. So you just fill in the math. Daily word count target, I just pull it down from here, is 3,125. Average word count per sprint is 650. So we know I need 4.8, or rounded up to 5 sprints per day. So now I look at it this way and I say 5 sprints per day times sprint length plus break is 30 minutes, gives me 150 minutes. And of course, that's also equaling to 2.5 hours. Then I do it again just to kind of see how many sprints I think I need total to win. So word count goal, 75,000 divided by my average word count, which is 650. And I'm going to need 116 because we have to round up. So I'm going to say I need 116 sprints on average in order to win. And the reason that I like to have that number is for a couple of different reasons. So towards the back here, I do have this word count tracker, and I can look through and I can see, well, there's 25, 50, 75, 100. And as long as I fill this out every single time I do a writing sprint, by the time I hit this one right here, 116, I should be done with the book. We'll see. But for me, any way that I can get myself motivated to keep working is a win. And when I can see, like, let's say I get 3 done today and then a few more. And then as this starts to add up, I can always be looking at this going, oh my gosh, we're getting there. We're getting there. And that for me is very motivating. But you could use this calculator basically to see if it's realistic. Because if you got to where you needed 2.5 hours a day to write, and you know that you have a full-time job and you only usually have 30 minutes of your time a day, this is not a realistic goal. And even though it can be fun to push yourself a little bit, you don't want to set yourself up for something that you just absolutely can't do. Like if this was me in the month of February or the month of March, I would not have been able to do it because I just didn't have that kind of time. April, it's possible, but I don't know if it's likely. So we'll see. Then you have a rewards planner, and I want to show you some of my rewards. So here you have a space for 5 different rewards. I'm not going to fill this out right now, but I have 7 rewards because I have 70,000 words. I'm going to give myself my first reward at 15,000 words, I think, so that I can then go every 10 after that. But I'll show you my rewards. I don't know how well this will show up on camera, but I found this Matrix shirt, this t-shirt at Old Navy. And I was like, okay, this is the perfect goal. First goal. This is a Matrix t-shirt. Second goal, I had some of these set out for February, but then I ended up getting different goals for myself when my friend Megan brought me something to be able to use. So this is the first one. Actually, I don't know which order. I might just pick the one that I want in the moment. But I have these little unicornos that become such great little like rewards for me. So I've got this little candy one, the sugar shop one. I've got this one, the galactic cat that has Hello Kitty guys on it. So I've got 2 of those. Then I also have these Les Secrets, which is like La Durée and Tokidoki, and they're in this super cute box. I have 2 of these as well. So that's 5 blind boxes, a t-shirt. And then George and I were at this super anime outlet store, and I saw one of my absolute favorite characters, which is Asuna from Sword Art Online. And it was 30 bucks. So kind of expensive, but I just love her and I have not seen her as a figurine and I want to put her on my computer. So like on top of my computer. So this will be my like finish the novel final boss kind of thing. And I find for myself that if I buy it ahead of time, if I don't hit the goal, then it goes on to whatever the next goal is. But I know for some people, you can't buy it ahead of time. You can't buy it until you want to use it. But for me, if I buy it, then it's absolutely motivating for me to be like, I don't have to wait for it to ship and get here. I can just go grab it from my closet and it's mine forever. So those are my rewards, but I highly recommend rewards. The other thing that I am going to reward myself with is Hello Kitty Island Adventure. So I have been playing on my Nintendo Switch recently, the Hello Kitty Island Adventure, and I am going to tell myself that if I write for 2.5 hours every day, even if I don't hit the final word count, if I put the time in, then I also get to spend 30 minutes playing my video game. So I'm excited for that. Those are some of my kind of rewards along the way. Another thing that I do, this isn't in the planner, but you guys have seen it before, but if you're new here, is I like to use these gemstones as ways to motivate me visually. So with this one, these were my final edits. So I got these, I think, just at like Home Goods or Dollar Tree or something like that. But I wrote on them with acrylic pen. It just says final edits, a mirror of shadows. This is one is done and this one is to do. And I counted out 75 of these gemstones and the cover is purple. So that's why I used purple. And so you can see I'm in the final read through. These are all the ones that are done. But in the beginning, they all were in the to do pile. And then they got moved into the done pile. So I'm going to do the same thing, but with blue ones because the book cover for this one is blue. So I will count out 75 of these and they will all go into the to-do pile. And then every time I finish 1,000 words, I will move it to the done. And over the course of the month, I'll be able to see visually that progress from one to the other. And I feel like that is a huge win. Sometimes with a big goal of like 3,000 words a day. I might also have miniature rewards throughout the day, like, okay, I get to go make a coffee or I get to pour myself a sparkling water. Not anything that I would really deny myself normally. However, I like to try different things to keep myself moving because if you have a goal, whatever that number is, that is going to push you a little bit harder, sometimes you just need to figure out what is it that makes me feel motivated to go out. So I'll probably be doing a lot of coffee shops, a lot of just going out to write with friends potentially. Maybe I'll do an overnight hotel. I definitely want to do a 24-hour write-a-thon that I record for this channel because I think it would be so fun. I see people doing 24-hour readathons all the time. And I'm like, we need a 24-hour at-home write-a-thon. So I'll maybe share that, but I'm going to do everything I can to just keep myself motivated so that I don't give up. I know with challenges a lot like this, let me know in the comments if this has been you. People will get very excited. They'll do all their planning. They'll print this out and they'll get about a week into the challenge and then they quit. This is common. So there's nothing wrong with you if that happens with you. But if you can go ahead before the challenge begins on April 1st and really think about how can I set up some rewards for myself that feel really exciting? How can I, like, even denying yourself something? So saying, okay, I really want to watch Bridgerton. It doesn't necessarily cost any extra money to watch Bridgerton or to read for the night or to scroll on social media, but tell yourself you can't do those things until you've finished 1,000 words and really stick to it. That can make all the difference. Also, get involved in the community. It makes the biggest difference to know that you're not doing this alone and check in with people and, be checking in to see how it's going. We're going to do weekly check-ins in the Facebook group, but we'll also be checking in every day on Discord. I'm going to try my best to do, I don't want to say daily, but near daily shorts here on YouTube, like a few times a week. So you can check in there if you want to, just how are you doing? Because that's the only way we keep moving forward is if we don't give up week 2. We just keep pushing through. And then when you start to see the book is getting done, that's when it gets really exciting. The next section is a meal planner where you can write out breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner ideas, and you can just have them on rotation. Idea brainstorm. Again, we go through this more in some of the other videos, but I'm going to be probably not really filling this out because I already know the idea. But if you're struggling to figure out which idea, what you want to write, there's a lot of cool prompts in here that you can use over the next couple of pages. Also, if you're like me and you know that you're not going to be using these pages, you could just skip them when you print. I just printed them all so you guys can see them. Then we have an actual working outline section. So we have a one-page outline where you can put your title, the basic premise of the book, your main character, your side characters, your villain. What's the main conflict of this book? And then how does it end? Over here, you can list 10 possible scenes. So if you're the kind of person, maybe you're a pantser and you're just like, I don't really know everything that's going to happen, but I know some of the vibes, or I know some of the conversations, or I know there's going to be this battle scene, or I know they're going to kiss in this scene, whatever it might be. You could go ahead and write those down here, even if they're not in order, just to get them onto the page. Then you have a longer outline. This is what I'm definitely going to be filling out for this book. So it basically follows the 3-act structure. You've got the first doorway of no return and all of that coming in here. Then you've got to the midpoint on this page, the second half of the book's beginning here to the second doorway, and then the finale of the book over here. I definitely am going to be filling this out, and I have ideas, but this will be very helpful for me. If you are somebody who likes to go scene by scene and fill out note cards, I have a little section here of what I put on my note cards so you can just read through this. And this walks you through basically how I go through the process of what scene comes next. And if you read this and you like it, I have a playlist here on YouTube also about how to write your novel from scenes and how to fill out scene cards. That is a really helpful, if you struggle with, like, you can fill this out fine, where you can say, okay, this is what happened, but you struggle with those interconnecting scenes, like, how do I get from here to here? What actually happens? That series might be helpful for you. And it is just here on YouTube. And there is, of course, a free workbook that goes with it because I just enjoy making workbooks. Creativity toolbox is basically just when you feel like you want to give up, what are some things that you can do? Like giving yourself some kind of visual cue, rewards that you could give yourself, going for a walk to build up a little bit of dopamine, playing a certain playlist, going out to dinner with a friend and talking through it. What are things that you can do to refill your creativity if you're feeling burned out? Other types of rewards. So, for example, One thing I've seen people do is like Hershey Kisses in a bowl, and there's 30, and every day you get your writing done, you get a Hershey's Kiss. Somebody was saying that they made scones last year and they put them in the freezer and they got to get a scone. And that was something they loved so much that they just needed to get it. Like they couldn't not write for the day. So anything you can think of that will be maybe on top of bigger rewards if you want to do them, that gives you that daily happy reward for getting your work done that feels motivating. Sounds good. Not everybody's motivated by rewards, but if you are, you could use that. Emergency motivation is when you know you want to quit. What can you rely on that is just like, okay, this is going to get me going again. It could be watching a movie that inspires you. It could be watching your favorite anime. It could be talking to a friend. It could be, okay, I'm going to go overnight to a hotel. It could be, I'm going out to a coffee shop and I'm going to brainstorm 6 new scenes. Whatever it can be, this is sort of like pulling out the most motivational things you can think of. Over here, I do have some YouTube, Instagram, Facebook links to my personal stuff. And then also, if you do want to start my Shadow Demon saga, I have the free books linked here if you want to check that out. And of course, I will have a new release on March 27th. So I would certainly love your support in when that book comes out. So we have It's a Good Month to Write a Great Book. And then we have the April 2026 planner. So the planner itself starts with a overview. This one only goes to 50. So for me, I need 25 more. So I'm probably going to draw them in at the bottom or else along the sides here. So I'll just draw in extras. The way that I like to use this personally is inside the box, I will write at the top what my actual word count is for the day. And at the bottom, I will write my total for the month. So here, like on day 10, at the top, I would say, here's what I wrote on day 10. And then here's what I wrote total for the first 10 days. I like to do it that way. Another way that you could do it is at the bottom, you could write your goal for the day based on that 3,000 words a day. And then at the top, where you are so far in relation to that goal. You can kind of do it any way you want. I did put this little sticker under here. Then we get into the planner. So you have a weekly spread, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack if you want to plan out your meals, and then your schedule. So we've got double down day here. Obviously, these first 2 days don't count, but you could use them as prep. So you could say here in the schedule, when are you going to be writing? How often are you going to write? How many words do you want to get today? And then there's a daily page. So we start with March 30 and 31st, where you can do some of your prep. And then on April 1st is where the challenge begins. So it's a Wednesday, 29 days remaining after this day is over. You can write your beginning word count and how many words are left. And then your intention for the day, any scenes you want to write, a word count tracker if you like to write in sprints. What's your mood for the day? Because at the end of the month, you can flip back through and say, man, on days where I was happy, I wrote 1,000 words. On days where I woke up grumpy, I couldn't write at all. And maybe you can start to see what factors contributed to you feeling excited. What are you loving about the story? Daily wrap up is kind of a place to just put like, how's it going? What are you going to write tomorrow? That kind of thing. Total words for the day and your new monthly total. So fill that out for every single day of the challenge. And like I said, if you don't want to use these pages, you can just skip them and only print the weekly or whatever. There's a weekly wrap up too, where you put in how many words you wrote and your total for the week, as well as any story problems that you're trying to think through and what your intentions are for next week. And then it just goes through that process all the way through. And then at the very end of the month, we have a rough draft challenge wrap up where you can say, here's how I felt about the challenge this month. Here's how I did each week of the challenge if you want to compare your word counts, any notes that you have. And then over here, while the story is fresh, write down anything that might come next in the story or anything you know you want to edit or any notes that you might want to make about it. Then you have a word count tracker. And this word count tracker is labeled by sprints. So there's 50 per page and there's enough for 200 sprints in here, which is more than most of us are going to need. But some people do 10-minute sprints. So it's totally up to you. Like I said, I know that I need 116 sprints to make this work. So here we go. I don't know. We're going to see how it goes. I need about 5 per day. So I'm going to keep an eye on how well am I doing day 1, day 2, day 3. Am I getting 5 a day? Double down day. Hopefully I'm going to get more like 10 to 12 and we'll just kind of play it by ear. But on this one, I write what I wrote this sprint. So this 25 minutes. the total for the day and then the total for the month. When you first start this sprint, today's total and the monthly total will all be the same number. But as you begin to write, this will begin to add up over time. And sometimes what I like to do too is whenever, like, let's say I wrote 5 sprints for day one, I would also put like a little darker marker here so that I know that that was one day and then I'm moving over to the other day. Or sometimes I'll also write like 4-1 so that I know this was day one, 4-2, that's day two, and so on, so that I can visually see my progress as I go. There's also this word count target. This one is on the left for only if you're running 50,000 words and you're trying to write the same amount per day. That's 1667. This is kind of like old school NaNoWriMo. Then this one here is where you can fill it out however you want to fill it out. So remember that I had a few days in here that I'm not going to be writing. So I'll put my target word count those days at 0. And then the other days will be that 3,100 or whatever it is. And so this way you can keep track. It's just another tool, but you obviously don't have to use all of these tools. Just pick and choose the ones that you like, if any. Then you have a pixel tracker. So this is where you could do 50,000 words. I will print another one of these if I want to use it. I may not use it this time. We'll kind of see, but it is so pretty when it's filled out. So for every 100 words you write, you fill this out. So if I wrote 400 words, I would just color this in, and then the next 400 words colored in again, and so on until I have 1,000 words per bar. But this is only going to be 50,000. So I would need to print it again and put it over here and have another 25,000 on the side. Then you've got a little game board here. I did at one point have a little Hello Kitty token that I would kind of go across, or you could use like a crystal or anything. And just throughout the time, throughout the days, you could put a little, move your little game board piece over here. Sometimes in the past, I have laminated this with my word count totals. So you could certainly do that instead of punching it. There's some blank note pages in the back. And then finally, another quote page, as well as just a back congratulations kind of page. So that is the Rough Draft Planner. And if you want a copy of this, like I said, there is the April version in Sunday Start or Monday Start. The Sunday Start I call mixed because it's Sunday Start month, but the weeks start on Mondays. And then in the Monday Start, everything starts on Mondays. They're letter size, so you have those two versions. And then you also have the undated versions if you're watching this and want to jump in a month that isn't an official like April, July, November month. But I would love to hear in the comments, what are you writing? What are you going to be working on? What are your rewards that you're going to give yourself? It should be a really fun month of writing together. I am a little bit nervous, but also super excited to get started. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time over the next week really filling out these outlines so that I can get ready to write. Okay, that's it, you guys. I am so ready for the Rough Draft Challenge. This is coming up in April. Again, you can join us on roughdraftchallenge.com if you want to set up your writing project or other project over there, or you can just download the planner, come join my writing sprints or other things that we're doing. Inside the Heart Breathings writing community, we will have Double Down Day at the first Saturday of the month. And in the middle of the month, we will also have our virtual writing retreats. There's going to be sprints going on every day, all the time, and just a lot of good energy. You can also come join us in our Heart Breathings Writing Community Facebook group, and I have a Discord server. So lots of ways that you can connect with us as a community. And I would love to know in the comments what you are planning on working on for the April Rough Draft Challenge. Remember, it does not have to be word count. It can be anything you want it to be. And I can't wait to just spend this time with you. Spring always feels so happy for me because the sun is out, the flowers are blooming. Sometimes my allergies are getting to me at the same time too, but I'm going to take the wins where I can get them. And I'm finally feeling just filled with energy and excitement. And I'm so ready to write book 2 of this series. So come join me. I will see you in the Rough Draft Challenge. Love you guys. Bye.